I love touring. I like to play DJ sets, I like to play live sets, I love to run the label Radican. But being in the studio, this is like my little world. I think Transformation, it's pretty much a Saalbach song. Things are new and unexpected. I'm aiming for a new kind of style, but I also want to be true to myself. I think you can still hear my signature on the track. Hey friends, my name is Jonas Saalbach. This is François from Production Music Live. And today we have a very close walkthrough in one of my new album tracks called Transformation. I think we should just dive into it. Maybe now the main elements, which is the arpeggiator. I will play that solo first. I made that sound with my Prophet 6.
The one in front here?
Exactly. I also like to have it in front because I use it a lot. So this is like my lead synthesizer section, which I use in every song. So I want to have them here, not there. And I also like to play the keys, which are here under the table. So I can play here and
test patches.
And here test patches, or actually from 400 to 500, it's only my own presets, which I always start from an init preset, and then I can save them, and then I have like a list with some notes. This is a pad, this is a step. This is the MIDI. Then I can just like see what fits, and then I try to modificate the sound till it sounds pretty good for that song. And that's the actual preset. This synthesizer is always running till the end of the production, and then I record it. And as I said earlier, I always write my automations in a MIDI clip. You can do that here in the envelopes. And for example, here the 102 is like the cutoff filter. You can see this in the MIDI implementations from your synthesizers. Like basically all the new synths can do that, which is great.
And just for somebody who's maybe never used an external synth with Ableton, can we quickly take a look at this external instrument device?
Yes. So this is an external instrument, and it works basically then like a plugin. So you can, like for example, this is my effect chain. I will just bring it back to the external instrument. So now you can play it live and add like all your plugins you would like to have on a channel. And first of all, I use a tuner. Like maybe some producers laughing about me because they say, okay, you have to hear it, but you know. Because the Prophet 6 in the beginning of the session, when the synth is not warm, it's changing the pitch. For example, now it's pretty off, and then I can pitch it up. Now we're in key.
Nice.
And also here I have like a list of all my external instruments. So I save like the routing, MIDI to Prophet 6 channel, and then where comes the audio from. You know, I have like here all my Prophet, Uno, JX3P, peak analog rhythm, and so on. So it's very comfortable to use my hardware actually.
Yeah, you can just drag it in, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of studios where you need to cable first, and you know, then the inspiration is gone. You know, if that doesn't work. So my studio always needs to work. This is the most important thing for a jam. And then at the very end, I just record it on an audio channel, and then I drag and drop all the effects into that audio channel and kind of rebuild what I did, that I have it here. But I always make a note, for example, here 447, that's like the preset. So just in case at some point I want to work again on it, or I want to use the sound for another track again, then I can easily rebuild the channel.
Did you use the patch also in a different track, this one, 447?
This not, but there are some which are like pretty close, very close to all the... And I think the Prophet 6, it's a character synthesizer, you know. It has these warm, it's not really aggressive, super nice for pads, and yeah, I only use it if I'm looking for that kind of sound.
And now it also sounded like there was like one oscillator playing 2 octaves higher than the other one or something.
Honestly, we need to try out. There is a sub oscillator on, or? So, a bit of noise. I think you're right, this is very low. Yeah, something like that.
So that's the source, and then you drag on these effects.
Yeah, this is like the raw sound. Of course, we can't keep the sub, but I kind of didn't want to turn it off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has energy, but you need to cut it on the right position in the low end. Okay, now now I can show you the wonderful RC20. It's like really a magical plug-in for lead synthesizers and pads, and we also use it for the hi-hat. You remember? Like,
yeah.
You know, this is like a little bit like an old vinyl kind of thing, and this brings it really alive. Absolutely amazing. Some distortion, bit crusher. This is space is like a reverb.
Oh, and it's also working as a LowCut down there in the EQ section.
Yeah,
well.
you can add a LowCut here, exactly, yeah. Great tool, great inspiring tool. I don't know, you can just put it on everything and add a tiny little bit of wobble or distortion or everything together.
You know what I also like about it? It has this magnitude fader up there.
This one?
Yeah, that one, where you can sort of...
artifacts, kind of. It adds artifacts, like...
And isn't like the magnitude thing up there, that slider, isn't that like a dry wet for it? So you can actually like towards the end, you could use it creatively also towards the end of, let's say, 8 or 16 bars, you bring the magnitude up and you kind of push up all these effects a bit more. So the melody is kind of stable.
I think that this affects like all the other effects here in the plugin.
Yeah, the upper one, you know, the magnitude up here.
Ah, this one. Okay,
yeah.
I thought you're talking about this because
magnetic.
It's magnetic. Ah, okay. Yeah, this is like a dry-wet thing, yeah.
So it's kind of, you could totally exaggerate that wobble and flutter. Yeah. And then towards the end of the 16 bar, bring that up.
Automated.
Yeah. And then,
that's a good idea. We can also try it out, what it does. Maybe here a bit more extreme. My next co-producer is born. Good one, yeah, absolutely. RC20, like cheap plugin, super powerful, absolutely love it. 4 pads, lead sounds, amazing. And this is my favorite compressor for synthesizers because you can compress a lot, basically, but it works very mild. It's very slow. You don't have attack or release. You can just add the reduction and gain, and that's it. LA to L. LA to A, very legendary compressor. Of course, again, now usually you have to gain against it, but you see I compress like 5 decibel, which is a lot. And sometimes I use this also for my synthesizer group. If I feel the synthesizers are all, I don't know, peaking a little bit too much, then this is like...
You put it on the full group.
On the full group, maybe reducing like 1 dB or something. But then the mastering engineer is happy about it. Because then
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, then he doesn't have to compress it so much. Also interesting.
It's getting warmer now, and we need to...
It's getting warmer, and we need to turn it down again. So first RC20 compression, then I have a little sidechain, and then again Crystallizer. It's like a reverse delay, super weird shit to make it a bit more interesting. And then EQing. And here we have a low cut and some push in the mid and high frequencies.
At what point in the production do you do this type of EQing? Is that more at a later stage, when all the other stuff is also...
No, this is, I think everything what happens here I do right in the beginning when I produce the sound. Because this is like the main element. You know, this needs to sound good and on point already. So I build kind of everything around it, even if I don't start with that element. Yeah. And here's the wonderful micro shift from Soundtoys, my favorite chorus. The preset says it already, fat white pads. So it gets a bit more pride and wide and fat.
What if you bring the mix up to all the way wet, but keep the detuning down? How does that sound?
Sounds good, but still a bit lost. And I think what I like to use for this kind of trippy stuff, you know, like this is adding a little bit like pitchy kind of thing. The RC20 does the same. The Crystallizer also adds a little bit of weirdness, you know. So the whole thing feels very organic at the end.
And there's this Pro Q was basically cleaning up some parts.
I didn't want to, because you know we spoke about this now a couple of times. I was searching for frequencies that were too harsh and then turned them down. Famous space echo, which is not synced in the beats per minute because we're working 123.5.
Why, by the way?
5? Yeah, that's why. because it's different.
Why? Because why not?
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Honestly, I used 123.5 a couple of times. I don't know why. I like this tempo. It's like
great.
124 is nice. 123 is my favorite, and I thought, new album, new direction, you know, new beats per minute. No, I don't know. Just super random. Space echo. Also, another add to make it more trippy is that it's out of sync. and has also kind of a reverb feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know if I changed something here. So here you have like also like an EQ, and here a saturation. So you can do a lot with the Echoboy. Then some panning.
That's another one that can be automated towards the drop, right? Like the width of the panning, like
Yeah, and then the speed.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Silence drop. Yeah, absolutely. Same with the tremolo effect, for example.
Oh yeah.
Also not in sync. Okay, this doesn't really do anything. Maybe it does something later when the cutoff is more open. So this is again the multiband compressor, and it just compresses the very high frequencies, because I think, you know, I use a lot of high frequencies in my synthesizers, and it's getting difficult if you add more, like the pad and this. You know, it's very full. So here the high frequencies needs to be a little bit under control, and I thought I don't have to compress like the whole signal. Maybe the high frequencies, it's enough.
Especially when filters are open, and stuff gets busy.
So it stays like on one level, even if it's getting louder. You know, I also work against this, like sometimes with just gaining it down at the end. If an element opens up but it gets too loud, that you still have it under control. Okay, and here just to make sure, another LowCut. That like after all those new plugins. Yeah, I sent this lead to the return stamps, and I think what is interesting to mention is the Shimmer. Shimmer is from Valhalla, a really big reverb, and it feels more like a pad. You can basically send everything on it and you have a pad. So you also need to control this with an EQ, because it feels more like an own kind of synthesizer almost. And I use the sidechain for this. Maybe we can listen to it first in solo. It does a lot. This is not mixing, you know, this is sound design. And now together. Very dramatic. Great tool. I have it now in all my productions, actually. I just added the Valhalla
Shimmer.
and randomly send some stuff, because it kind of glues everything together. You know, if you send it from different plugins, like here, you see here I have more synthesizers I'm sending to the Shimmer, and it's so blurry that it kind of glues everything together. Great element, great plugin to create atmosphere.
Is your mastering engineer fine with that too, or does he sometimes complain that stuff gets too...
Good question. In mastering, there is like one trick that you push the side in a certain kind of frequency, and if you add too much reverb here for him or her, it's difficult to push that side, but it has a very nice effect in mastering. So probably you have to be careful with the reverb. Maybe I used it a little bit too much, but for me, most important is that it's performing, that I can perform it live. So I just do it like this. And sometimes when I finish the production, I just turn all the reverbs like 2 dB down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think less is more in
Yeah.
reverbs. It's important to have rooms,
Yeah.
but I have the feeling that I overuse it sometimes a little bit.
And so you know yourself, and you just go
Yeah.
there and say, okay.
Same with kick drum. I have the feeling, maybe it's because of my room, because of my speakers, whatever. I always have the feeling my kick drum is a little bit too loud, but I need that kind of punch for the production. So I just produce, and when I'm done, I turn it 2 dB down. Baseline same. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun also to produce, you know.
Yeah.
And if you know, like, it's easier for you to produce with these types of adjustments.
Yeah.
You just have to remember at the end.
And I think it's better to have the bass drum a little bit less loud instead of too loud.
Yeah.
So it can't be a mistake to turn it down a little bit.
Okay.
That's my thought about.
So basically now you have that thing routed through your MIDI channel, and at the end you print the audio and put it on a separate
Exactly. At
channel.
the end I record the audio. Then it's mostly because of the latency a little bit, you can see it here, a little bit too early actually, because of the latency. The MIDI has to be sent out a bit earlier, if that makes sense. And then I just put that on the right place manually, which can be also nice sometimes, because maybe you don't put it like 100% on point. And if you do this with all the synths, it's you know. And if something feels off, of course, then you have to check. What you always can do is like playing your recorded stamp and then your synthesizer together, and then at one point, you know, now they're at the same timing.
Yeah.
I didn't really have an idea. I usually just start with a jam, but the idea was it needs to sound like what I have in mind, and this is a little bit more mystical, a little bit more deeper than my previous album, and I think I achieved it with that track, even if it's also a bit melancholic and melodic. I think for me it was a good step, and then from that basis on I could produce the album Headlights.